In fact, it is hardly understandable why green iguana is considered a great pet lizard. Is this giant 2-meter-long voracious animal with a mighty claws and often a bad attitude really a good choice for keeping? What should be kept in mind before you decide to settle it in your household? 5 reasons to stay away from any green iguana ever. First reason is that an iguana is not a dog or cat. This is a tropical forest dweller where conditions differ from conditions in our apartments significantly. This is why it can't just stroll through the house. It needs a special place where it will maintain specific conditions. It needs an enclosure, and for an adult animal, it must be gigantic. Also, you will need special climate control equipment. Heating lamp that will give your iguana to heat up to 94 degrees when necessary. Then humidifier that will maintain 50–70% of required humidity, as well as a large water bottle with water for drinking and swimming. Although pretty often iguanas are using it as a toilet, and so you will need to watch the purity of water carefully. Besides all mentioned stuff, shelves and branches are necessary to let animals exercise within enclosure. Another thing to consider before getting an iguana: they are really large. As iguanas are selling very young, it can be very hard not to get seduced by their cuteness. What could be better than a cute green little crumb chewing a lettuce instead of those disgusting crickets? But eventually this crumb is turning an animal 2 meters long. Of course, many people like them because of this feature too. An iguana is like your own cool tamed dragon, but there are many inconveniences about it. First of all, its enclosure size. For example, Gush's enclosure weight is 300 kilograms. This is more than 600 pounds. Kate and her husband didn't plan to get an iguana, and it was an unexpected situation, so they put an enclosure in the middle of the room, and it's still here. It's impossible to move it anyhow by themselves, so they just get an iguana, and that is taking half of their life. Although this is obvious by the size of the iguana that it would be happy to get even a larger home. Due to its size, lizards eat and poop a lot. That means a lot of cleaning. Another point is that iguanas are difficult pets as they are not tamed by default. These animals have no natural reason for finding contact with humans, so they must be tamed purposefully. If you ignore this fact, your lizard will bite and whip you with its long tail very painfully. Also, they have sharp bone crest on the tail that can damage your skin or clothing unwittingly. You should interact with your iguana permanently, otherwise it will be a challenge to look after it. And please remember that not all lizards may have a friendly attitude. Generally, iguanas are good, but among them you can meet animals with bad personalities. They are as individual as any other living creatures. Also, males have a rotten time when they are trying to show how successful and beautiful they are and to copulate with females, ideally. Lizards are shaking their heads and behave aggressively. Females may lay empty, unfertilized eggs, and sometimes it can be dangerous for their health. Fortunately, veterinarians with knowledge about reptile diseases can save such females or, based on medical evidence, neuter them even. And even if you are likely and your iguana is completely tame, it will be an arboreal lizard anyway, with huge claws, helping it climb and hold its weight on a tree bark and branches. And when it's sitting on your hand, it will consider you as a tree. And so this is your problem that you have soft skin instead of hard bark. You will permanently get unpleasant scratches, and there is nothing to do with it. Strong legs and mighty claws, this is normal physiology of your home dragon. Want to handle it? Adapt. fourth reason why iguanas aren't an easy pet is that they are pretty expensive pets to keep. The most expensive part, of course, is the enclosure itself. Expensive is special equipment that must be changed timely. UVB lamps are must for proper balance of calcium in the reptile body, and it's recommended to change it twice a year. Hidden lamps are burning out regularly. Also, don't forget about electricity bills. Diet isn't very cheap either. Maybe you're thinking that lizard will eat lettuce and it will be easy and cheaper than feeding with crickets. It is far from being right. Adult iguana must eat every day, and its diet must consist of varied fresh green, some fresh veggies, sometimes berries. All mentioned food is very low on calories, and so you will need to buy it in very large quantities. It could be more expensive than keeping cat or dog. Also, your iguana will need high-quality supplements, so they can't be compared to lizards that are feeding on insects, which are eaten 2-3 times per week literally, and eat just a small handful of crickets. Not only is an iguana a large animal and must live in a huge enclosure, but also it will make this enclosure very dirty very quickly. Glass is impossible to keep clean because you can't use any glass cleaners, as they may be dangerous, as they can be hardly removed from the glass surface. And it is very difficult to clean glass with harmless detergents without stains. Usually this enclosure is not so clean. Kate spent half of the day removing all salty snots from glass. When iguana are getting rid of salt excess, they are literally blowing their noses, and so all glass is covered with salt stains. This is why aesthetic pleasure will be doubtful. Another thing is that beside needing to move a heavy basin with stinky water every day, you will not be able to leave your iguana with someone in case of necessity. Yes, if Kate is going somewhere, she must ask her friends to take care of the iguana by literally living with it, but their enthusiasm is fading away with every other year. The fact why iguana became a classic vivarium pet, despite its difficult keeping, is hardly understandable. They are beautiful and fabulous animals for those who dreamed by their own tamed dragon. And of course they can be kept, but you really need to think twice before you get in it, because this pet dragon will please you for the next 50 years or even longer. This is why it's good to know in advance what you should expect, and hopefully this video will help you with that. A huge thanks to Kate and Gusha. The Beastiary channel was with you today. Bye!